That's okay. I'm gonna make it happen. This week, episode 293 of Stogie Geeks. We're going to talk a little bit more about, there's been some progress on Senate Bill number 9. If you don't know what that is, we're going to talk about that. We're also going to interview Wayne Clarke of Hiram and Solomon Cigars, get his take on the industry. They got some new sticks coming out at Hiram and Solomon right here on this edition of the Stogie Geek Show.
This is a Security Weekly production. Broadcasting live from G-Unit Studios in Rhode Island, it's the show where cigars burn slow, ashes fall fast, and cocktails flow steady. It's the Stogie Geek Show. Welcome, everyone, to the Stogie Geek Show. Joe and I are already silly.
Oh, yeah.
Joe Hozempa, a.k.a. Joe Hollywood, is here with me in studio.
I'm fired up.
And
confidence. Confidence isn't walking into a room with your nose in the air, thinking you're better than anyone else. It's walking into a room and not having to compare yourself to anyone in the first place.
Havana Cigar Club, located in Warwick, Rhode Island, is a great place to enjoy a drink and a cigar. Stogie Geeks listeners can find a $5 off coupon on our website by clicking the HCC logo.
Welcome back to Stogie Geeks, or welcome to Stogie Geeks. I am your host, Joe Hozempa. Thank you for tuning in. We are live, StogieGeeks.com, and we are also on that Facebook super awesome interweb thingy. We have a guest today. His name is Wayne. His company is no stranger to the Stogie Geek Show. However, excited to hear his take on the industry. Wayne is the general manager for Hiram and Solomon Cigar Company. Interesting concept, interesting company. He's going to bring us up to date as to what's going on with the company, and we're going to talk a little bit more about Senate Bill number 9. And I'm super awesomely excited. You can tell I'm from Rhode Island. I'm super awesomely excited about this bill. And I believe that from 2 weeks ago till this week, and we have a lot more traction, and we're starting to get a little bit more definition as to what the hell a cigar is. I'm excited. I mean, I didn't know what I was smoking for all of these years. We're going to get into that. So anyway, Wayne, welcome to the show. How are you?
Doing great, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I heard that you're hailing from Queens. Is that where you are, or Bronx? Where are you?
I'm in beautiful Queens, New York.
Nice, nice. What are you doing over there? Looks like you got a fan club behind you. Not behind you, in front of you.
We're doing a live show. I'm at Harry's Habana Hut here in Bayside, Queens, right off of Bell Boulevard. It's a live show. I've got some guys watching over there. Gonna have a little fun today.
It is a lot of fun. I did a live show for Stogie Geeks back in April. I believe it was April, all first week of May of 2018 when I was in Florida. And I did it on Los Alamos Boulevard, a place in Fort Lauderdale called Havana Republic. And it was super fun, super cool. I was able to Skype back in. I do know that background noise can be kind of tricky and whatnot as you navigate through that. The worst is when it's like you're going to talk to me and we're going to answer questions, and like people are going to want to come up to you and shake your hand. And it's like, don't you see, like, I have this computer in front of me and whatnot? It's so funny, right? You know, it happens all the time. So, you know.
All the time when you get to be as big and famous as you are, I'd imagine people are, always asking for your autograph, interrupting the show.
It's tough. It's tough. You know what I mean? No one asks me. I walk into a cigar shop and they're like, it's him. It's him. That's the one. That's the one I was telling you about. You know what I mean? I feel like Rizzo on Grease. You know what I mean? For those of you who don't know Rizzo on Grease, that means you're a little bit young. But I thank you for tuning in on Stogie Geeks, right? For sure. What do you want to talk about first? You want to talk about this bill first? Or you want to talk about Hiram and Solomon? You want to talk about your take on the industry, what you're looking forward to for 2019? Whatever you want to talk about first, you pick.
Well, let's talk about first what I'm smoking here, because I love this cigar. This is
touche. Yeah, good move.
Hiram and Solomon Fellow Craft. It's a beautiful Habano Oscuro made in Nicaragua. Actually was the #2 cigar of the year a couple of years back. So this is what I love to start my day with. But in terms of what we've got going on as a company, as you guys know, we're a boutique company. We're on the small side, but we do have some exciting stuff happening. We just released a brand new size of the Traveling Man in a Lancero. And I know there's a lot of Lancero nuts out there that are going to love this cigar. It's an Indonesian Sumatra, has a beautiful little bit of spice to it. Just that Sumatra burns so well on that Lancero. So we're really, really excited about that. We also have, we released it about just before the show, a new size of the Veil Prophet, which is a Brazilian Arapiaca, nice full body. Previously, it had only been available in a 7x60 coffin. And what we did, we released it in a Toro and made it more accessible to the shops that don't have the most shelf space.
Sure.
But it gives you a completely different flavor profile from that 7x60 when you drop it down to a Toro. And then we have a brand new cigar that is coming out. It's supposed to drop pretty soon. I can't let the cat out of the bag yet.
Of course not. You're gonna call the print company and tell them, and then they're gonna wait 30 days for the customers to get it. I get it. It's good.
You never know.
All right, I get it. Go ahead, move on.
But we've got a brand new cigar. It's dropping now. And I'll give you a little bit of what it's going to be as our fullest body cigar yet. It's actually a Brazilian Matafina. And it's called the Grand Architect. It should be available in stores within the next 4 to 6 weeks.
Yep. So it's all stores. You're not doing any exclusive ones first, or are you? Or is it going to be by event only?
No,
and stuff like that?
We're making it available to all of our retailers. We're small enough now that we want to give as much support to our retailers as possible. So when we release something new, everybody gets it.
Yeah.
So
that's good. I think that's a good methodology. Whether you're a boutique or not, like, I get the TAA thing and I get the exclusivity and all that stuff. And what I don't get is that when you're a cigar company and you have to have certain levels to have certain things to come out and incentivize, like, seriously, like but then again, I get hate email all the time at joeh@stogiegeeks.com. you can flash me an email. You know, it's like, oh, well, I like this cigar. Well, it's only available for shops that do a certain percentage and stuff like that. Okay, so let me get this straight, Mr. Rep, okay? You're sitting in this cigar shop here doing an event. Everybody's here to see you in your sticks. And you're telling us that I can't get this stick because this shop that you're here doing an event and we're here to see you, right? Either that or some people show up like little sisters of the poor and want the food, right? Either way, right? So then they come up there and then they do that. And then you're publicly saying in front of the owner, like, yeah, you got, you know, hey, by the way, I'm doing an event down the street. I'm doing an event down the street. If you want to show up to that event too, and dude, like seriously, like seriously, like, you know what I mean? And it drives me nuts. That's why when I walk into a cigar shop, people are like, oh shit, that's it. It's him. You know what I mean? But that's just the way it goes. And the problem is, like, people in the industry, any podcast, pick one. Nobody lets the cat out of the bag and says it, right? No one says that's crazy. I think it's great for you guys to say, hey, listen, this is a new stick. We're going to get it out here. And by the way, it's got Brazilian Maltofina in it, which means it's awesome, okay? It's going to be a flavor bomb for sure. Haven't even had it, but if you follow the bouncing ball, that should be good. I don't know how long it's been waiting or how long that's been in the mix. If you want to reveal that, that's fine. You know, like when they came up with that test blend, and then they said, okay, Hiram Salam's going to launch this in March of 2019. I'm making the date up, but 2019, right? Like how long has that waited? Are you guys? So you've had the test blends. Is it a flavor bomb?
Yeah, more or less. It takes about a year from original concept to actual release, because you need time to make sure you have the correct tobaccos. You need time to try different blends. You might have an idea, but you don't initially like that particular blend. So you need to go ahead and try different things and see what works, see what doesn't work on your palate and the palate of others. And then, of course, once you actually decide on a blend, you need time for those cigars to sit.
Sure.
We're fortunate enough to work with the Plasencia factory down in Esteli in Nicaragua. They are fantastic. They have access to some of the best tobaccos in the world.
Yes, they do.
And we're fortunate enough to be able to take advantage of that. So it's exciting to be able to go down there, try new things, maybe work with some different tobaccos. For instance, a tobacco from Paraguay or a tobacco that may not necessarily be available to other folks. It is available at Plasencia. So it makes it a lot more fun and interesting along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that the Plasencia factory itself has done a great job at brand differentiation. So in other words, that if Hiram and Solomon, this is their showcase, right? And then you have other brands that has come by and other brands. So they've done a great job there, and they've done a good job of exclusivity of the available tobaccos to each person and stuff like that. And I think from the consumer perspective, you know, when you're talking Brazilian Maltofina with this new stick, I think it's going to be a very exciting release for you, and I think it's going to be a flavor bomb for sure. Want to get back to the one about the Lancero and the Arapiraca wrapper, right? So, So with that being said, was that the one? So correct me if I'm wrong, or if I heard this wrong. The original cigar that was in the coffin is now going to be. It was over 2018, to my knowledge, made available in the Toro, and then now you're taking that same blend and making that in the Lancero. Is that the same? No. Okay.
Yeah. No. So what we're doing is we took the one that was available in the coffin.
Yep.
With the Brazilian Arapiaca, which was previously, which is still is, but it's a 7x60 in a coffin. At the show, we created a new Vitola for that, or used a new Vitola for that, and did it as a Toro. The Lancero that we're releasing is actually in the Traveling Man. It's a different line.
Now the one in the coffin, for those of you scoring at home, that was the Veiled Prophet, correct?
Veiled Prophet, correct.
Okay, so it's about people like saying, oh, Hiram Solomon, coffin, go. The Veiled Prophet, which is a specific cigar that we're talking about from Hiram Solomon, originally came out in a coffin, had a 20 change price point, blah, 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 did its thing. Okay, great. Now you have that available in the Toro.
We have it available in a Toro.
Yep. At a lower price point.
At a lower price point.
Yep.
Yeah.
So please
For
note.
instance, most of our price points for the Toro is anywhere between $9 and about $9.50.
Yep.
Previously, it was anywhere between $13 and $14 in the coffins. So
right. And the reason why I'm bringing that out is for the Stogie Geeks listener who listens to this on audio, which there are still a lot of them out there, as opposed to video, is that they may have had the Veiled Prophet in the coffin, and then I wanted them to follow the bouncing ball. If they liked it or didn't like it for whatever reason, they can retry it because it's a different blend. Now, correct me if I'm wrong if it was with this too, and I want to make this so that it's great for the Stogie Geeks listener. The Veiled Prophet coffin was in your original factory, and then the Toro was now when you guys changed factories and moved forward from your 2017 on, correct?
So you're not wrong.
I'm just half right? That's the story of my life.
Yeah.
That's
So our original Veiled Prophet, when we launched, we're actually celebrating our 4-year anniversary. But when we launched originally, we did the Veiled Prophet as a limited run. We only made 500 boxes, and those were made at our original factory in the Dominican Republic.
correct.
When we switched production to the Plasencia factory in Nicaragua, we then released it from the Nicaraguan factory as well, but as a regular production. So it's instead of being Dominican, now it's Nicaraguan.
Gotcha.
Same wrap.
Yep.
Just different, slightly different binder and filler.
Yep.
But you're sort of right. The original release from back in 2015 came in a coffin. It was called the Veiled Prophet. It had a great mixture of tobaccos that were 8 years old. It was a special limited run that we did at that time. You still might be able to find a unicorn out there. There might still be one or two available. I don't have any more.
Yeah.
I wish I did.
I've actually had the opportunity to have both. I've had some Stogie Geeks listeners send me some.
Yep.
When I was just getting introduced to the brand and introduced to that, I've actually had some, and then I've actually had the Toro version as well. It's great. It's a good cigar. I rated it on StogieGeeks.com. You can go there, type it into the search, and then find it there for sure. All right, now talk to me about this Lancero then. Getting back to my original question, you're launching this Lancero, and I think that's a really super cool move. I don't think that enough Stogie Geeks listeners or enough consumers really give Lanceros a chance, but now's your time to sell that Lancero.
Yeah, so I believe that the Lancero really gives you the best flavor profile of any size, because typically when we're blending in a factory, or when master blenders are blending, they'll use a Lancero. But what the Lancero does is it gives you an opportunity to really taste how that wrapper impacts the cigar. See, the bigger the ring gauge is, the more the wrapper flavor is diminished by the binder and the filler. That only makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
So what you get is a much more concentrated flavor in that Lancero. So, for instance, if you have a chance to smoke a Lancero right next to a Toro, you're going to taste the wrapper and the effect that wrapper has on that blend a lot more on the Lancero than you are on the Toro. So it gives you just a completely different experience than you would normally get with a larger ring gauge. It's more concentrated, it's more focused, and you're going to get a slightly different flavor profile. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. So that's coming out in a couple of months.
That's actually available as of right now.
Oh, cool.
So you're going to see it popping up in stores across the country as of right now.
What's it called?
It's called the Traveling Man Lancero.
Oh, okay, good answer. Right, I like it. Cool. It's the Traveling Man Lancero. You probably already said that.
It's an Indonesian Sumatra.
Yeah, awesome. That's awesome. I think that's it's definitely the way to go. You know what I mean? For Lanceros. Now, let's talk business of Lanceros, okay? Because I don't know what it is, right? It's like hold on. It's like what happens is, you know, you're exactly right when it comes to Lanceros, right? Flavor is there. What I like about Lanceros is not only the flavor, is when you smoke a Lancero, you're kind of not portable. And what I mean by portable is you wouldn't go golfing, fishing, hang out, type on a computer, whatever it is your gig that you do with cigar. You might walk your dog, right? Because you can kind of walk your dog, unless you had a big dog, right? But anyway, we're not going to get into dogs, right? But so what happens there is that like it allows you to really, really slow down and enjoy a cigar. And what drives me crazy is when I walk into any cigar shop across the country, Lanceros are sitting there. And it's like, you know, culture. This is what's it. This is where it's at. This is where you want to find where it's at. But anyway,
to me, it's insane, and you're 100% right. To me, it's insane the perception that, you know, a lot of even cigar shops, tobacconists have about a Lancero. They don't feel like pushing it, or they don't try and recommend it to the customer because they don't feel like it's as good of a value.
Right.
I don't know what the real reason is, but I'll see Lanceros that are fantastic sitting on the shelf, and it drives me crazy because I'll grab them up.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's like, come on, let's do it. You know what I mean?
Also, it's part of it is kind of the culture that we're in, right? Since people started releasing really the advent of it was the 6x60, and then it got bigger to 7x70s, 8x80s. And even crazier from there. The bigger the cigar, the better your value, the better the smoke, the more smoke you're getting.
Yep.
And that's kind of, in a sense, that's taken a lot of the focus away from these older Vitolas, where originally your biggest ring gauge was going to be like a maybe a 50.
50, 56, yeah, sure, yeah.
Yeah, 52.
Yeah.
During the cigar boom, and even, way before that, these cigars weren't that size. They were the Lanceros, they were the Petit Coronas, they were the Lonsdales. And that's how the traditional blenders blended, right? Going back 100 plus years.
Right.
And now you have the 6x60s and the 770s or whatever, you have to modify the way you blend the cigar, and it's a totally different mentality now. So it's kind of changed the way we think about things as an industry, as from the consumer side.
Yeah,
and it's crazy.
it is crazy, and
so awesome.
Yeah, Paul always says, like, went to a cigar shop, picked these Lanceros up. It's crazy. This is why Stogie Geeks listeners, develop a relationship with your local shop. Go in there. You find some Lanceros, talk to him or her about that, and just say, hey, is there any way you can give me a slightly discount on this? I really want to try to get into some Lanceros. They should work with you, right? For sure. And you owe it to yourself, because the flavor, it's just so different. It's like night and day, right? It's like, I have in my little what is this thing? Cigar case that I bought, right? I carry one of these with me all the time, right? It's the Tap Black Lancero, right? It's freaking awesome, right? Now, if you have the Robusto, it's good, right? You have the Toro, it's good. But this freaking cigar, I love it, right? I got some more Lanceros in there. I love the Lanceros. It's just a definite way to go. I'm looking forward to trying the Traveling Man Lancero for sure. I think it's going to be a really good hit for you. And I also think that because of your market position, as far as like with the Hiram and Solomon and the Masons and how that's all tied in with the different names and whatnot, I think that because it's positioned correctly, I think you're going to see a little bit more success than some of your competitors when it comes to some of the Lanceros, if the tobacco is ready, and all that stuff. But if you're talking a level playing field, I really think that should be a very good cigar for you here in 2019.
I think we're going to do well with it. I really do. We've had requests for it for years, and finally, we had the opportunity to come out with that particular Vitola. and we're really excited about it.
How's the packaging in that? Is it just going to be in a simple box, 20 count, 10 count?
Yeah, the same. It's going to be the same style. It's going to be the Lancero is going to be in a 30 count box, I believe.
Okay, sure. Yep.
Just because of the size.
Yep.
So it'll be a 30 count box, but that's the only difference in the packaging. It'll have the same purple label with the square and compass.
Yep.
One thing I'd like to mention about our company from the business side is it's kind of exciting. When we started out, it was mostly Masons smoking our cigar, and mostly guys in the lodge and kind of boutique nuts that love boutique cigars or things that are smaller. But now what we're seeing through Instagram and Facebook, I think we have over 9,000 followers on Instagram now. We're seeing more and more people smoking our cigar that are not brothers, are not affiliated with the fraternity in any way.
Sure.
And it's amazing to see how the cigar has kind of gotten into the hands of folks that may not have noticed it before. It really is everybody's cigar.
Yeah.
And we're really proud of that. And I'm seeing it more and more through social media and through various avenues that people are trying the cigar, giving it a try for the first time, and then going back to it. Mm-hmm. And we appreciate that. It's exciting for us to know that it's not just something that it's not just a niche or not just some type of fluke. We have a great product, and people are enjoying it outside of the fraternity as well.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Are you releasing anything new around IPCPR, or are you just gonna ride out the year, and when it comes, or is there like a big announcement for you guys around that time?
Yeah, we're working on some things. So we should have something in time for the IPCPR. Mm-hmm. We're working on a couple of things now. And we should have more information of that as we get closer to the show.
Awesome. If you want to send it to me, you can.
Of course, my brother.
You know,
absolutely.
I love it when vendors send it to me. Hey, this is new, but don't talk about it until you see it in the print publication. And I say, hey, okay, and I do that. I do that.
I'll send you a few, and I'll come up there and smoke it with you. How about
send me some samples with no freaking label on it, and then say, oh, by the way, that's what you smoked a couple months ago when I sent you. Here you go. That's what it was. And see, no, out of everybody we interview every week, no one's smart enough to peel off the labels, send it to me or me and Paul or whatever with no label, and say, hey, what do you think? Not one of them thought about that. Like, I would do that if I owned a cigar company. I would be like, yeah, man, there you go. I'm gonna do that. Actually, one gentleman did that. Actually, it was Spencer Drake, right? He sent us. He was from JR, right? There in White. Oh boy. Anyway, Spencer Drake. You can Google him. Whatever. He was on the show, right? And he sent me a cigar with no labels on it, bunch of them, right? And I was like. When we did the kind of like pre-test call and check-in, I'm like, dude, whatever you sent me was awesome. Where can I get it? How can I get it? And now this was November 27th of 2017 when he sent it, right? He did his interview. He did his interview on November 27th of 2017. That was his interview. So for Stogie Geeks listeners, November 27th, there you go. Ask me why that date sticks in my head. I have a degree in economics. That's how I think. It's very date. Anyway, moving on, right? He sent it to me early November. So by the time I got to this interview, I'm like, dude, whatever you sent me was awesome, blah, blah. I was like, where can I get them? How can I get more? He goes, wait till IPCPR because that's what's coming out. And then he said, I'm not telling you what they are, but you had a chance. And I'm like, oh, really? Like, I was like, you know what I mean? So, like, he's the only one who kind of, like, I don't want to say he duped me, but he kind of, like, really played it up. You know what I mean?
Well, we love to get feedback. You know, that's the only way you can succeed as a company is if you take feedback and you act on it. If I'm releasing a cigar, as a manufacturer, and I give it to 5-6 people, and they all tell me, "Hey, Wayne, this is a dog rocket." I'm probably not going to take it to market, right?
Sure.
But how are we going to know? Because it may be, I may think it's best cigar on the planet. But if 5 other people don't like it, there's a really good chance that it's not them that's messed up, it's me. So,
Yeah.
you know,
well, I'm going to ask you the same question that I tell everyone who reviews, and no one's taken me up on my offer, right? I'll sign a non-disclosure, so we'll be all set with Stogie Geeks. We have a non-disclosure. If you need a testing panel, I'll give you my mailing address. And I'm going to tell you what the hell I think about the cigar. Like, I'm going to say, hey, man, cigar's great, but you know something? It's not portable. Or who's your target audience, or however. You know what I mean? So if you want to be the first one to join there for that, you let me know. If not, then you can go on the list of everyone else who doesn't take me up on that offer.
We can make that happen, I think.
Yeah, that's what they all say, and then goes ghost, right? Anyway, right? Yeah, it'll be January 2020. Hey, we have Wayne Clarke over here, and that's exactly how it goes. I'm just telling you. If you want to break the pattern, you can be the first. Do you have anything else you want to talk about the company coming up, and any concepts coming up, or any super cool stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's a really exciting time for our company in terms of growth and where we're headed. We're kind of right on that cusp of, you know, breaking through to the point where we're recognizable in just about any humidor. Several TAA retailers came on board this year. We have an online presence through a lot of our retailers. The reviews are coming out. We're in the top 5 for a couple of magazines this year.
Yep.
You know, we're kind of right there, and it's exciting. We're right on the cusp of you know, that next level. We're in about 280 stores nationwide, and it's growing every day thanks to an amazing team of brand ambassadors that I have working with us. You know, our team of brand ambassadors is fantastic, and they've been working tirelessly to get the cigar out to different stores. The only thing I can say is, if you haven't tried our cigar yet, go into your local tobacconist and ask for the product. And that's the only way that small companies like ours can get into the humidor. The cigars don't just magically appear out of nowhere. You know, they end up in that humidor because somebody goes in and requests the product. And every time you guys do that, it means a lot to us. It helps a small family-owned business in the cigar manufacturing industry. And, you know, we can't do it without you guys going in there and requesting the cigar. So hats off to the Stogie Geeks folks. You guys have been fantastic with us. The listeners, the viewers, you guys have helped us grow a lot in this past year. So thank you guys very much for that.
Oh no, you're welcome. You know, it's like what I really. There are probably if my duties were beyond hosting the show, and I would take a couple of companies out there and position them who say, okay, these are my top 5 or 10, or we'll pick a number, it doesn't matter. You guys are in the mix of companies to watch, and they're in the mix for a bunch of different reasons. And to elaborate on those reasons, it reminds me of Tom for Line of Duty Cigars as well, right? You know, you have Line of Duty Cigars, you talk about the brotherhood of your police, fire, rescue, the everything that happens there. I'm very familiar with the brotherhood. You know, being a Navy brat, and have my father being in the Navy, I know what it's like. We have friends for life, whether they're extended family and whatnot, and a very closeness. And when I look at both of your companies, and you look at a target audience as opposed to Company X, I'm not going to compare you to any other boutique company or anything else like that. I'm going to save that for my last episode. My last episode is going to be 5 hours there, so I really hope that Stogie Geeks management and or its staff gives me my notice, because it's going to be a hell of a show, right? I mean, it's going to be a hell of a show, right? But I really think that, you know, one of those things where you guys have you have to have a target audience, you have to have a good product, you have to have means to continue after whatever your tier is that you're going to get with the factory, to make sure that the product stays consistent, make sure the product stays consistently good, make sure the tobacco is consistently ready, all those into the mix. And then you get into the target audience for that. And I really think that it's kind of like a springboard for you guys where, you know, you got a great story to tell, you got a good product. Some of the products vary as far as good to great, in my opinion. I'm just a consumer, right? You know, and then I have a couple that are my favorites, and I have a couple of sticks within your sphere that are in my regular rotation. So I'm like, okay, I want to pay attention to this company, and it's great to see it grow, and it's great to see more and more people get into it. You know what I mean? How has the road been a factor in your growth? And I mean that like from an, you know, kind of from like a 10,000 foot view as opposed to a 3,000 foot view. Because what happens often with any cigar company, it doesn't matter if you're a classic facing, doesn't matter if you're new to the cigar industry, doesn't matter if you want to put yourself on that boutique shelf. How has the road been a critical component? And when I talk about social media now, the road and the rep been a critical component to the growth of companies, because I've seen this happen all the time. I mean, I could, like I said, if this was my last episode, I'd burn through a list of 30 companies who super awesome, people like the rep, don't like the rep, blah, 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 but the brand itself does successful with that. What are your kind of challenges business-wise to say, okay, Hiram and Solomon here is poised for growth. We have new products coming out. We have a big announcement, IBCPR, although we won't say it on Stogie Geeks first, right? However, you know, how has the road been a big factor, and what are you going to do to kind of combat that as a company? Because I really truly think that just posting sticks on social media and whatnot, it's great. It's great to get the viewers, but it's really not. It becomes a really, really big challenge to expand a company when you're talking about, hey, let's all be honest, nobody mentions this when it comes to a cigar podcast. It's moving sticks. You move sticks to the retailer, retailer moves sticks. It's that simple. It's all about moving sticks. Nobody talks about it, right? What are you guys going to do to kind of build that momentum?
So I think anytime you've got a small business, right, it really revolves around your team. Mm-hmm. If you don't have a good core group of people on your team, you're not going to grow. You're not going to see an upward trend. You're just kind of going to stay stagnant.
Sure.
So one of the things that we've done over the past year is not just willy-nilly add brand ambassadors or brokers or people to the team. We wanted to make sure we were adding the right people and people that are going to make an impact out there in the field. So we've added some great people in the past year or so. And I think with a cigar like ours, you know, we're a small company, we're a small brand. The only way that you're going to make an impact in the store is through your brand ambassador.
For sure.
And through the guy that's on the road. And I think a lot of companies lose sight of this. You know, they pay the big dollars for the advertising and all the big magazines and blogs and all this stuff, right? But if you don't have good brand ambassadors on the ground that are showing this cigar directly to the consumer, you're not going to grow. And that's where the road comes in. I've had the opportunity to work in about 35 states this year. I've traveled all over the country, did about 180 hotel nights since I came on board with Hiram and Solomon. And it's been a road warrior kind of year. And if you look at the amount that I traveled to be out there with my brand ambassadors, it would make your head spin. And the reason we do that is because we need to connect directly with the consumer.
Sure.
Anybody can call and make calls to the retailer, right? Anybody can do that. But what you really have to focus on as a brand, especially a small brand like ours, is building relationships with the guys that are in that cigar shop.
Yep.
Not just the owner or the manager of that particular cigar shop. So that takes time, and that's where the road comes in. And that's where having excellent brand ambassadors comes in. And we've got a great team of guys. I mean, my rep down in Texas, Robert Matthews, and this is a guy that had zero experience in the business when he came on board with us 2 years ago. And he has built it to make Texas one of our strongest markets because he's in the lounges and he's there constantly, and he's showing up and he's building relationships with the people that are actually purchasing the cigars. And we can't forget that as manufacturers, that those are the folks that really make the impact, and they're the ones that really make the difference toward growth of a business.
That's a great point. That's a phenomenal point, and I think, like I said, I wish you much success for 2019 with that.
Thank you, man.
For sure. I think you guys are really poised for growth. I think you got some really good products in there, and I know that one of the things that is important is, which we didn't really talk about, and we don't really need to. We can just kind of put on a shelf and let it linger for the Stogie Geeks listener. Is you got brand loyalty. So you know, and believe me, I talk to people and all the time here or offline or whichever, and they're like, oh well, you know, we've been around for 100 and change, blah, 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 and you always hear that, and you say, yeah, well, you know, let's talk about brand loyalty. Like, let's talk about what's in your rotation. Like, you know, I always ask someone in a cigar shop, hey, well, what's in your rotation? Not, you know, do you like Dominican, Nicaraguan, medium, mild, strong? You know, what do you like? You know what I mean? Do you like unicorn piss? Do you like freaking this? Do you like that? Like, no. Like, seriously, what is in your rotation? And that will tell you to the character of the brand loyalty, right? Because the rotation's in the brand loyalty, you know? And one of the things that I notice is that in the shops where you have a presence, there is brand loyalty, you know?
Yeah, and we definitely appreciate you know, everybody who's giving our cigar a chance. It's really everyone's cigar. It's not just a cigar for brothers or people within masonry. It's everyone's cigar. Everybody can try it, smoke it, and enjoy it. And I found on the road that the people that actually do give us a shot come back.
Sure. Sure.
And you build brand loyalty really through long-term relationships, and that's one of our focuses for the coming year, is to touch as many people as possible on a one-to-one basis, and really kind of show them what we're all about as a small business and a company. Because a lot of people forget that each of these boutique companies out here, family-owned companies, are really small businesses. And a lot of us aren't. I mean, we're on a larger scale, but some of us aren't really any larger than your average cigar shop. You know, there's some people out there that are just beginning or whatever. We're in a great position, but I'm saying that some of the companies, the boutiques out there, they're just a tiny business that's trying to survive. And when you as a consumer give them a shot, and it makes all the difference in the world. It makes sure that somebody's kid can go to basketball practice later on. Make sure that you know, you have gas in the car, things like that. That makes a difference to the small manufacturers, and that's really what sets us aside.
Gotcha. I'm putting you on the spot. Of your line, what's your favorite line? I'll give you mine. So we'll go tit for tat. So what is your favorite one? I guess I could say so far, because I'm not privy to the new stuff, right? And if it's going to be the new stuff, you could say the new stuff, and then there you go. But what's your favorite one?
I think the one that I smoke the most regularly is the Fellow Craft. That's what I'm smoking right now.
Yep.
That's my personal favorite.
Yep.
But every day I have my Dunkin' Donuts coffee, because I'm a true hardcore New Englander.
Yeah, nice.
I have my Dunkin' Donuts coffee, and I smoke my Entered Apprentice in the morning, beautiful Connecticut. And throughout the day, I'll smoke a Fellow Craft, awesome medium, nice spice.
Yep.
For me, it's right exactly what I like in terms of flavor profile.
Yeah. Flavor profile, I was a Fellow Craft by sure. My favorite, number one in your line. However, with me, has to be bullet punch cut. Has to be punch cut. Love the tar build-up. Comes through. I don't know if you're a guillotine or V or bullet. I do a bullet Fellow Craft with some a Bloody Mary. Awesome in the morning. In the morning, right? I need a Bloody Mary now. Anyway, but a Fellow Craft there. I really like that. I was on a Traveling Man kick for a little bit,
Yep.
But then I found myself going right back to the fellow craft, which to me, when I get into a line, whatever line it is, you know, whatever, it's like the one I go back to and go back to and go back to, and this is of course over the course of time. I'm like, that's the one that really sticks out.
Absolutely, and I generally go back to the fellow craft because for me, I like that spice. I like the body of it.
Yeah.
It's not a super strong cigar, but I find it to be great in body and flavor.
It's tasty. It's so tasty.
Right
yeah.
in my wheelhouse.
Yep.
And
absolutely.
the traveling man too. I mean, I smoke a fair amount of traveling man. You know, just that's a great everyday cigar with that Indonesian Sumatra.
Yeah.
Just a fantastic everyday. I love Sumatra wrappers personally. That's a great stick for everyday smoking.
Yeah. You like Bloody Marys?
Oh, heck yeah.
Bloody Mary and your fellow craft is where you got to go, man. That's the shit right there.
It's fun. I was down in Florida, and I'm not going to mention where I was, but they have a fantastic Bloody Mary. I was with Fuad, one of the owners of the company, and we sat down, and that was the first time that he and I had smoked a fellow craft with a Bloody Mary.
Banging. It's like,
you're 100% correct.
I know. If it comes to do my second to the last show of Stogie Geeks, whenever that is going to be what the hell to pair with a Bloody Mary, because people are like, are you serious? I mean, dude, I've had freaking cigars with Bloody Marys all the time. I freaking love it. Like, I don't drink Bloody Marys like every day. You know
I love a good Bloody Mary.
I know, right? So why can't you mention where you were? What was it? Was it a competitor? You can just say yes or no.
All right, there was a rule against mentioning.
That's cool. That's cool. I just, you know, I mean, you know, I can't say, but yeah, I was on this other show. Which
they're well known for their Bloody Marys.
That's cool.
But
gotcha.
There's a picture of it on our Instagram page. You'll pull it up at some point. It's the most. It's like a meal with a Bloody Mary.
I'm in. That sounds good. That sounds good.
West Palm Beach.
Awesome. Well, like I said, I wish you success with your company. Want to pivot a little bit more and talk and kind of change the subject a little bit.
Yeah.
Before we get into Senate Bill S9, because that's going to be pretty quick. What I'm happy about is between last week's Stogie Geeks episode and this week's Stogie Geeks episode, we now have a definition of what a premium cigar is. Like, I don't know if you knew what this was, but now with our government, we have, and I don't like to turn this into a government show at all, right? But it's like we now have a definition. So, Stogie Geeks listeners, you don't want to tune out quite yet. You want to hang on, because at the end of this episode, we are going to define what a premium cigar is, right? And I don't know. I get giddy when they use the word tip. But anyway, right? Moving on. Right? PG-13, sorry. I know. Yeah. Right? So now, here we go. My next pivoting moment, so we only have two more. The next one is, what do you look forward to industry-wise, non-Hiram and Solomon, for 2019? Like, what do you kind of look forward to being in the industry as you were? You've been in for, what, well over 5 years now, correct? Is my math right? Yes?
I think one of the things I look forward to most is seeing the market share of boutiques grow. And it's been a trend over the past couple of years, but it's really starting to take off now with some of your boutique companies out there. And I love seeing that. Yep. I love seeing the trend of your everyday cigar smoker trying something new instead of going to the same stalwart brands they've been smoking for 20 or 30 years.
Yep.
It's really exciting, especially as a boutique cigar maker. So I think we're seeing a lot of progress with some of the boutique cigar makers out there in terms of gaining respectability in the market and all of that. So that's really exciting, that piece of it. And I also really look forward to this year seeing what's going to happen with the FDA. And I know we're going to talk about that a little bit later, but seeing how the bill progresses now that we do have a definition of premium cigar, and seeing what's going to happen in 2019 with that, because we've kind of been waiting for this administration to take a look at our industry a little bit more closely. And as of yet, they haven't really done a whole lot. And I was hoping that Dr. Gottlieb would look at it a little bit sooner. But it appears now that we're moving kind of in a better direction than we were before.
Yeah, absolutely. I think those are two great points. To elaborate on your first point, in regards to the boutiques being positioned to get a lot more, I would even like to expand or add a subcategory, which I think is the category, which I think that a lot of either other podcast or a lot of cigar journalists or whatever your role is, cigar rep, a cigar owner, more specifically, is that it's coming from a region, and it's the region of Nicaragua. And Nicaraguan cigars are certainly, the consumers have reached out and said, we want more blends. We think that Company X is fascinating. We let all these companies, A, B, C, D, whatever, right? And in that region is, if you were to look at it from a pie chart perspective, the region of Nicaragua is taking more and more market share away from the others. And hats off. I really hope that their administration and their economies can stay stable enough to obviously continue to be nonviolent and to continue to work on whatever issues they have to for the workers and for the workers that feel safe in the environment that they're working in, there. But that whole region has really, really been a big factor, because if we take out Nicaraguan cigars, my opinion, and put them in any other region, right? And it's no testament to other regions. Everyone has their place. But when you're talking about true business market share and Nicaraguan gathering more and more each year, if you take out those regions, I don't think that the boutique movement or the small cigar movement would be as popular if the consumers' palates, there you go, palates, didn't demand it.
Absolutely. I think, I love looking at statistics for this industry. And at the end of the year, I always kind of take a look at, where the leading exporters were or whatever. But one of the things that I noticed, and it was a really crazy statistic, is that imports this year were up 21% from 2017, which, if you look at it, that's fantastic. We're in the tobacco business, right? And we have all of these outside forces trying to pull us down all the time. But we managed in the premium cigar business to be up 21% as a whole in terms of imports. Yeah. And that, to me, just blows my mind. The Dominican Republic alone, I believe, was up over 20%. Nicaragua is not slowing down at all. Right. And Honduras actually killing it. Yes. So it's amazing to me just how we've managed to grow as an industry in spite of all the crap that's around us trying to drag us down. You're right, Nicaragua. Nicaragua is doing some great things. Yeah. It's one of the only places in the world where you have 4 very unique and independent growing regions within a very small country. Mm-hmm. And that's why Nicaraguan cigars tend to have that much complexity. It's because you can take Ligero from Omnatepe and you can take Ligero from Jalapa, and they're going to taste completely different. Sure. So that's what makes Nicaragua really, really special. And that's why with those with discerning palates, or those that are getting into boutiques a little bit more, are finding that Nicaraguans kind of tend to hit what they're looking for in terms of complexity. Not taking anything away from the Dominican Republic, because anybody who knows me knows that my heart is most definitely in the Dominican Republic as well. But they don't have the different growing regions as much. They're closer to like a Cuba, but Nicaragua has the volcanoes. They have the different regions, and that's what makes it really special. I think it boils down to 2 things, right? To wrap it up, this topic, I think it boils down to 2 things. It's a rocky soil, right? You have rocky soil, you have volcanic soil. It's rocky. It's a different temperature. It's a different growing process. And number 2, it's creativity.
it's the creativity from the Nicaraguan region and the other rappers that they include and all of that stuff. And I think that is a good pivot point for them for the business for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. You have all these guys that are, I guess you call them gringos like me. They go to Nicaragua and learn from the best, right? Yeah. And they're willing to try new things and willing to experiment. And then all of a sudden, they come out with a fantastic cigar that just blows your mind.
Yeah.
Whereas DR, it's kind of more traditional.
Yeah,
so
traditional, and each one has their place for sure. Okay, you ready for this? Now, our last topic. We got a couple more minutes, and then we're gonna bounce here. So Senator Marco Rubio produced a bill here, is endorsing a bill. It's called Senate S9. For those of you who want to follow it along, they added an addendum to the Traditional Cigar Manufacturing and Small Business Jobs Preservation Act of 2019. It seeks to protect cigars that meet the following guidelines. You ready for these guidelines? Very important, right? There's 4 of them. First of all, this is to protect from the FDA and have premium tobacco, premium cigars be exempt from the FDA's pending consideration of their legislation. You ready? The cigar must be wrapped in 100% leaf tobacco and bundled with 100% tobacco filler. Okay. Check. Right? Check mark. We got 3 more to get through. Okay? If the tobacco must contain, I'm sorry, let me correct that. Correction. The tobacco cannot contain a filler, tip, or non-tobacco mouthpiece. Check. Right? Here we go. 2 more, right? It must weigh at least 6 pounds per 1,000 count. That's interesting, right? That's interesting because I'm not into Department of Weights and Measures and whatnot, but I'm assuming that they're trying to limit size. Now, if I wanted to get a little bit more Stogie geek, I wonder what, and I'm making it up, I'm not picking on ring gauges, I wonder what, so I'll lump 56, 60, 70, and 80 weigh in 1,000 count. I wonder. And this will come back. This will come, if, and I'm saying if, I'm going to do some research. I might check in on next Stogie Geek show to kind of follow up on that. I'm going to do some research as to what 70 ring gauge 1,000 count box is, because if it weighs at least if it weighs under 6 pounds, then we're good. But I wonder why they came up with that. Just from reading the notes right quick, I wonder. So we're going to go check with a question mark on that, because I think that they might limit the actual ring gauge size.
I think, well, I don't know if they're trying to limit the ring gauge size as much as they're trying to limit machine-made products being defined as premium cigars. I think that's
good point.
That's where.
A good point. There you go. Good point. Yep. You're a little bit more involved in that process. That's a good point. So I'm going to do some work on that. And then the last one is the cigar has to have 100% tobacco binder, because we only talked about the filler and the wrapper before, right? On the first checkpoint. Has to have 100% binder, and it has to be hand rolled and made with human hands to lie the wrapper or binder into one machine that bunches the tobacco. So you gotta look at it this way, which I think is more elaborating on your point. So I'm gonna repeat that in case you're listening to this on audio, right? 100% of the tobacco binder and filler has to be hand rolled with human hands, and it has to lie with the wrapper and the binder, and it can only go into one machine that bundles, wraps, or caps any of the individual cigars. And then 100% of the leaf tobacco from that one machine can only be for the individual cigar. So I'm thinking more elaborate on your other checkpoint is that they really want to make the distinction of handmade premium tobacco, which is what we talk about week after week here on the Stogie Geek Show, versus some of the machine-made stuff.
I believe that's exactly what they're trying to define. Because there are mechanical devices that are used in the premium cigar making process. You have bunching. They're used by hand, but it makes the process faster. It's a mechanical device that actually bunches the tobacco, and so you can put it into the mold. So that I don't know if they consider that a machine or not. But then also most of your bigger factories use tobacco stripping machines, so you can strip the vein from the leaf. Almost every factory in DR and Nicaragua has that. Nobody really strips the tobacco by hand anymore. But I think what they're trying to say is in the actual making of the cigar, the rolling of the cigar, they don't want it capped by a machine. They don't want it rolled by a machine. They want to see it rolled by hand. Which I think is great.
Right. So here's a positive point when it comes to here's a positive point when it comes to the FDA, and we'll end it on a positive note. We now have a definition. We now have a methodology. We now have a potential course of action and an exact separation from what premium tobacco is. All positives. And over the past week, 5 more senators have jumped on and had backed up Marco Rubio from there before. So I think it's all it's like anything else, man. It's moving in the right direction.
Hey, while I've got you here, Joe, I wanna drop my boy Harry here, Harry Savannah Hut, just to say hello.
What's up, my man? How you doing?
Hey, what's up, man? How's everything going?
All good, my man. Just enjoying a nice smoke with my boy Wayne.
There you go. Make sure you have a Bloody Mary and make sure Wayne pays for it.
Damn right, baby. It's all about the horseradish and the spices in it.
There you go.
Yeah, with some bacon on it.
There you go.
See you, man.
Awesome.
Harry Savannah, Bayside Queens.
There you go. So I'll let you get back. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule. Thank you for joining us on the Stogie Geek Show. I wish you much success. Anything you want to flash me an email with Wayne or the Stogie Geeks listener, email me at joeh@stogiegeeks.com. We'll see you next week.